Vijayanagara architecture of 1336 to 1565 CE was a notable building idiom that developed during the rule of the imperial Hindu Vijayanagar Empire. The empire ruled South India from the regal capital at Vijayanagara on the banks of the Tungabhadra River in modern Karnataka, India. The empire built temples, monuments, palaces and other structures across South India, with the largest concentration in its capital. The monuments in and around Hampi, in the Vijayanagara Principality, are listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In addition to building new temples, the empire added new structures and made modifications to hundreds of temples across South India. Some structures at Vijayanagara from the pre-Vijayanagara period. The Mahakuta Hill temples are from the Western Chalukya era. The region around Hampi had been a popular place of worship for centuries before the Vijayanagara period, with earliest records dating from 689 CE, when it was known as Pampatirtha after the local river god Pampa. There are hundreds of monuments in the core area of the capital city. Of these, 56 are protected by UNESCO, 654 monuments are protected by the government of Karnataka and another 300 await protection. Salient features. Vijayanagara architecture can be broadly classified into religious, courtly and civic architecture, as can the associated sculptures and paintings. The Vijayanagara style is a combination of the Chalukya, Hoysala, Pandya and Chola styles, which evolved earlier in the centuries when these empires ruled, and is characterized by a return to the simplistic and serene art of the past. For the approximately 400 years during the rule of the Western Chalukya and the Hoysalas empires, the most popular material for temple construction was chloritic schistous soapstone. This was also true for sculpture, as soapstone is soft and easily carved. During the Vijayanagar period, the local hard granite was preferred in the Badami Chalukya style, although soapstone was used for a few reliefs and sculptures. While the use of granite reduced the density of sculptured works, granite was a more durable material for the temple structure. Because granite is prone to flaking, few pieces of individual sculptures reached the high levels of quality seen in previous centuries. To cover the unevenness of the stone used in sculptures, artists employed plaster to give the rough surface a smooth finish and then painted it with lively colors. Temple structures. Vijayanagara temples are usually surrounded by a strong enclosure. Small shrines consist simply of a garbhagriha and a porch. Medium-sized temples have a garbhagriha, shukanesi, a navaranga connecting the sanctum and outer mandapa, and a rangamantapa. Large temples have tall regopuram built with wood, brick and stucco in Chola style. The term raya is added to indicate a gopura built by Vijayanagaras. The top of the gopuram has a shalashikara resembling a barrel made to rest on its side. Large life-size figures of men, women, gods and goddesses adorn the gopuram. This Tamil Dravida influenced style became popular during the rule of King Krishnadevaraya and is seen in South Indian temples constructed over the next 200 years. Examples of regopuram are the Chennakesava temple in Belur and the temples at Srisalam and Srirangam. In addition to these structures, medium-sized temples have a closed circumambulatory passage around the sanctum, an open mahamantapa, a kalyanamantapa and a temple tank to serve the needs of annual celebrations. Temple pillars often have engravings of charging horses or hippogriffs, horses standing on hind legs with the fore legs lifted and riders on the backs. The horses on some pillars stand 7 to 8 feet tall. On the other side of the pillar are usually carvings from Hindu mythology. Pillars that do not have such hippogriffs are generally rectangular with mythology-themed decoration on all sides. Some pillars have a cluster of smaller pillars around a central pillar shaft. The bottom supports of these pillars have engravings of gods and goddesses. Carvings of hippogriffs clearly show the adroitness of the artists who created them. The mantapas are built on square or polygonal plinths with carved friezes that are 4 to 5 feet high and have ornate stepped entrances on all 4 sides with miniature elephants or with yali balustrades. The mantapas are supported by ornate pillars. The 1,000-pillared style with large halls supported by numerous pillars was popular. The 1,000-pillared Jain Basadi at Mudabidri is an example. Larger temples have a separate shrine for the female deity. Some examples of this are the Hazara Rama, Balakrishna and Vithala temples at Hampi. Some shrines in the Vithalapura area inside Vijayanagara were consecrated specifically for Tamil Alva saints and for the great Vishnava saint, Ramanujacharya. Architecturally they are different in that each shrine has an image depicting the saint for whose worship the temple was built. Each shrine has its own enclosure and a separate kitchen and pilgrim feeding hall. The water storage tank inside the royal center, the stepped tank called Pushkarni, is a recent archaeological discovery. The stepped tank is fashioned with finished chloride schist slabs arranged in a symmetrical formation with steps and landings descending to the water on all 4 sides. This is clearly a Western Chalukya Hoysala-style tank and is seen in many parts of present-day Karnataka. The inscriptions on the slabs indicate the material was brought from outside the Vijayanagara area. Palaces. Much of what is known today of Vijayanagara palaces is drawn from archaeological excavations at Hampi, as no royal palace structures have survived. Most palaces stand in their own compound defined by high tapering walls made of stone or layered earth. Palaces are approached through a sequence of courts with passageways and doorways requiring multiple changes in direction. All palaces face east or north. The larger palaces have side extensions giving the complex a symmetrical shape. Palaces were built on raised platforms made of granite. The platforms have multiple tiers of moldings with well-decorated friezes. The decorations can be floral, Gurtamaka shapes, geese, elephants and occasionally human figures. Pillars, beams and rafters inside the palace were made of wood as evidenced by ash discovered in excavations. The roof was made of brick or lime concrete, while copper and ivory were used for finials. Palaces commonly consisted of multiple levels with each flight of stairs decorated by balustrades on either side, with either yali or elephant sculptures. The entrance steps into palaces and temple mantapas were similarly decorated. Water tanks inside the palace complex have decorative water spouts such as the carved torso of the Nandi with a gaping mouth to allow water flow into the tank. Other structures commonly found inside a palace complex are wells and shrines. The court architecture generally shows secular styles with Islamic influences. Examples of the Lotus Mahal Palace, elephant stables, and watchtowers. Courtly buildings and domed structures were built with mortar mixed with stone rubble. The impact of this style of architecture was seen well into the 17th century when the successive Nayaka kingdoms continued to encourage pillars with hippogriffs and granite became the main building material. Other famous temples in Karnataka. While the empire is well known for its monuments in the regal capital Vijayanagara, it also built temples in other regions of Karnataka including the coastal region where the Vijayanagara idiom mingled with local styles. A list of these temples and their approximate time of construction is given in the article List of Vijayanagara-era temples in Karnataka. Famous temples in Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh, Pradesh. The empire built the Mallikarjuna temple at Srisalam, Upper Narasimha temple and Lower Narasimha temple at Ahobalam, Veerabhadra temple at Lepikshi and Venkateswara temple at Tirupati and others. In Tamil Nadu, the empire built the Vijayanagara Perumal temple modelled after the famous temples at Tirupati with statues of Krishnadevaraya in Thalusanati pillars facing each other. Gallery. Terminology. Mandapa, pillared hall. Mahamantapa, open pillared hall. Rangamantapa, closed pillared hall. Kalyaranamantapa, hall meant for celebrations. Garbhagriha, sanctum where the idol of God is placed. Navaranga or Antrala, passage that connects different sanctums. Shukanese, antechamber.